All over TikTok, there's been this discourse going on about this thing called the Gen Z stare, where basically when you go into any store or a fast food establishment and let's say you go up to the counter and maybe ask a question, if that person is Gen Z, instead of greeting you or saying hello or trying to do any small talk, they'll apparently just stare at you with their cold, dead, brain-rotted eyes. Kind of like that one Mike Wazowski meme, because Gen Z lacks social skills. Surprise, surprise. Oh my gosh, people who grew up on the internet lack social skills? No way. I would have never thought that. And the unks, aunties, grandmas, and grandpas are fed up with Gen Z's lack of social skills. Like, I swear, anytime I hear an older individual talking about this Gen Z stare, they always have veins popping out of their forehead and they got white foam coming out of the side of their mouths. I'll be thinking they have rabies whole time. All they're doing is just talking about Gen Z. All jokes aside, this is a video from a TikTok creator named the Disney Girl talking about her experience with this Gen Z stare.
So glad we're finally talking about the Gen Z stare. I have an example that happened in real time. If your For You page looks different than mine, we're talking about the Gen Z stare, where people in the service industry of a certain age don't even say hello to you. They stare at you. Why did I go in to pick up my order at Chipotle and the girl turns her head and just stares at me? I go, hi, I'm picking up for Ashley. And it always just feels like you're inconveniencing them. That's the tone they set when they don't say hello. And I don't care if this makes me a Karen. I'm sick of the argument of they don't get paid enough to be nice. Yeah, but every single job description in the world, especially customer facing, the very first descriptor is greet customers or have some sort of customer service skill. This generation is wild. And I've had it happen before at like a drive-through where you get to the window and they just look at you like this. But this girl didn't even raise her eyebrows at me to prompt me to speak, and that really threw me off. The eyebrow lift thing is like rude to me in my opinion as well, but like completely blank glazed over stare, please.
Now, I can't lie, she is spitting facts. I believe that the Gen Z stare is a real thing, unfortunately. I definitely could name a few times where I walked into a restaurant and it's someone who is part of Gen Z at the counter and all they do is just stare at you. Like, no words or nothing, just eyes. And it's crazy because, like she said, any job you work at, they're gonna tell you that you have to greet people. Let's say you're working at the counter or something, you gotta be a talkative person. You're gonna be talking a lot to people throughout the day. But now, more often than not, if that person is Gen Z, they won't say a thing. And I will say, I understand the older generation's frustration when it comes to this, because they grew up with people knowing how to talk to each other, and now it feels like that's being lost, which it is. At the same time, are we surprised that Gen Z lacks social skills? Like, I feel like the reasons Gen Z lacks social skills is very obvious. I'm a part of Gen Z. I was born in 2003. Gen Z grew up with smartphones and all this technology, which led to a lot of Gen Z talking more digitally than in person. And unfortunately, that has given us the choice where we don't need to socialize in person as much as the older generation needed to anymore. Although socializing in person is better than socializing online, nowadays you don't have to socialize in person if you don't want to. You can talk to your homies through Discord, PlayStation Party, or even just texting. Face-to-face communication happens less and less. And with that happening, that also makes it very awkward when face-to-face communication happens and it's someone who's Gen Z. Back then, you had to talk in person because there wasn't all this technology. But now you don't have to, and that's led to a lot of Gen Z freezing up when it comes to face-to-face communication. Obviously, it's not all of Gen Z, but it's a good amount of Gen Z that lacks these social skills to talk to someone face-to-face. And to add on to that, another huge factor of Gen Z being less social is obviously the pandemic. Even though that was about 4 to 5 years ago, the effects from the pandemic still last till this day. That pandemic isolated a lot of Gen Z during some of their most social years. Some people were in high school when the pandemic happened. I was in high school when the pandemic happened. To be specific, it was during my junior year. Then I had to do online for my senior year. But for some people, it hit when they were in middle school. Now they're in high school, they're working a job and going to school, yet they don't know how to talk to customers or even how to talk to their peers. And that'll most likely carry over to their college years and also their future jobs, unless they change something. By changing something, I mean talking to people more. Being social is a muscle. You have to use it or you're gonna lose it. Before we go any further though, I find it so funny because each year there's always this beef with Gen Z on TikTok. Like last year it was Gen X versus Gen Z. I don't know if y'all remember this, but there was like this whole TikTok trend where Gen X was making these cringe TikTok videos about them going to war with Gen Z.
Gen X rise.
I almost threw up a little. I genuinely almost threw up. She probably thought this was so tough. She was probably like, yeah, Gen Z stinks. Am I right, everybody? Like, no, you're just cringe. go take care of your grandchildren and get off of TikTok, please. Whose grandma is this? Can y'all give her meds or something? Like, what is going on? This year, it's all about the Gen Z stare. And look, I'm tired of people dissing Gen Z, but I hate to say it, I agree with the unks and aunties on this whole Gen Z stare thing. You know that stare you give when you're working and then that customer just starts bugging out of nowhere? And you just sit there like, what do you exactly want me to do? That's what a lot of people are mistaking this Gen Z stare for.
We have the Gen Z stare because most of y'all are just clueless. Can I have a cheeseburger with no cheese? Some customers make you question, how are these real people? It says remove my card. Do I remove my card? Most of the time, it's us trying to figure out if you're being for real or not. This item says that it's out of stock. Do you have any more in the back? But then somehow, we're the mean ones.
Like, in my opinion, staring at a customer for saying dumb stuff like that is completely warranted. Like, if somebody said, can I get a cheeseburger without the cheese? Oh, so you just want a burger? No, I want a cheeseburger. Like, no, you're just dumb. Like, that stare is warranted for a situation like that. But that's not the Gen Z stare. I've even seen a few videos on TikTok of people saying like, oh, I think I caught the Gen Z stare on camera finally. And the whole time, it's just a customer tripping and they're just staring at them. Like this video right here.
Yeah, I just like, I wish that, sorry.
I got charged for this month, and I need a refund immediately.
I'm so sorry. Did you cancel beforehand or give us a call or email or anything?
No, but me and my son haven't attended any classes for a couple of weeks, so we shouldn't have to pay anything.
Okay, unless you've canceled or given us a heads up that you're canceling, there's so many kids on our roster we just...
Do you not hear what I'm saying? I haven't been in classes for the past month, but you still charge me.
Okay, I'll cancel your membership immediately, so there'll be no more extra charges, but I can't guarantee that you can get the refund. I'll talk to my boss to see what I can do, but like...
I better see that refund soon.
Okay.
I better see that refund is crazy. Now, I'm not trying to bash this girl or anything, but that's nowhere near close to the Gen Z stare that a lot of the unks and aunties are talking about. The unks and aunties are talking about that lack of social skills stare. Not that stare you give when somebody is saying something dumb, like in that video. Like, you're just baffled at how this man isn't listening to a thing you said. You're Gen Z and you're staring at him, but this is not that Gen Z stare.
Why the fuck did I just pay? Bro, why did I pay you?
I can't.
Why did you let me pay you?
I just work here.
Why did you let me do that?
Ma'am, I just work here.
Bro, what the fuck are y'all on?
Again, not trying to bash this girl too. She probably just misunderstood the whole Gen Z stare thing. But this is not the Gen Z stare because you're quite literally just watching a customer melt down in front of you. This stare is warranted within the situation. I feel like the Gen Z stare is not warranted at all. Like what the lady was talking about earlier, the Gen Z workers don't say hello or anything when you walk into an establishment that they're working at. That is the Gen Z stare. The unks and aunties were saying that there's supposed to be that customer service small talk, but there isn't. And a lot of Gen Z misunderstood that, and instead Gen Z decided to get very offended that the older generation was calling them out for their lack of social skills, which is true. And they just decided to roast all the unks, aunties, grandmas, and grandpas calling them out and spin it like, oh, well, we stare at you guys because you guys ask us dumb stuff, when in reality that was never the point of the unks and aunties calling out the Gen Z stare. They're tired of Gen Z's lack of communication skills. Yeah, that's the whole Gen Z stare conversation going on TikTok right now. I think it's real personally. I see a lot of people saying that this thing isn't real, when in reality it is. Like I said, the unks and aunties are fed up about it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All that being said, this is gonna wrap up the video. If you guys made this far, I appreciate you. Twitch Camera WAK, Instagram Camera WAK, Twitter Camera WAK, Discord link in the description. If you guys enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend you guys check out my most recent video. It'll be right up here on the screen. All that being said, thank you guys for watching. It's Cameron, and I'm out.